You know what's wild? Even with all the estimating software out there like Buildertrend, JobTread, Buildxact, even Buildwise, most builders still estimate in Excel. In fact, over the past 6 months, I've spoken with over 500 builders across the country, and they all told us the exact same thing. Because when you're under pressure to get a number to a client, you tend to fall back to the thing that you're most comfortable with, and that tends to be Excel. It's fast, flexible, fully customizable. So the real question isn't whether you should be using Excel or software to estimate your projects. It's how you estimate and whether that process sets you up to be profitable. Here's what I keep seeing. Some builders just drop in rough totals, some go full detail takeoff mode and stitch out every single detail, and some land just in the middle, balancing speed with structure. It reminds me of the story of Goldilocks. One bowl of porridge is too hot, one's too cold, and one just right. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 most common estimating workflows that I see: quick numbers, takeoff to proposal, and the Goldilocks workflow. And there are different tools that support each of these workflows, but this video isn't about comparing software. It's about helping you figure out which workflow actually supports your business's goals, one that makes your business profitable and helps you stop leaving money on the table. And I'll show you a tool that you can use to estimate faster, stay accurate, and feel confident in the number that you send. By the way, I'm Brian. I've estimated over 1,000 custom home and remodeling projects, everything from small additions to multi-million-dollar new builds. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that your estimating workflow drives everything else: scope clarity, client trust, and your bottom line. So let me show you what this looks like, starting with the most common workflow I see: quick numbers. A spreadsheet like this reads more like a grocery list than an actual proposal. There's no written scope and no context, just totals. It might help you get numbers out fast, especially if you've done similar jobs or leaning on instinct, rough notes, and wild-ass guesses. But there's no backup, there's no breakdown, and there's nothing to remind you of how you arrived at that number when you look at it a week later. This is the porridge that's too cold. It's fast and familiar, but it's lacking substance. And it definitely doesn't help you sell the job. Because here's the thing: the structure of your estimate affects how you present it, and that needs to match your contract type. If you're doing fixed cost, you need a detailed scope of work that helps tell the story, because you're not sharing cost line by line. So a spreadsheet like this just won't cut it. What you end up needing are 2 things. 1, a clean formatted written scope with a total at the bottom, and 2, the tabular version that actually calculates your costs. And trying to mesh these together is where a lot of builders get stuck. It's also what the Goldilocks template that I'm going to show you in a moment will actually help you solve. In contrast, with Cost Plus, you're showing a line-by-line detailed breakdown, including your visible markup applied to each row. But if your sheet doesn't clearly describe the detail behind each line, it still falls flat. Just listing electrical roughing at $32,000 doesn't really tell your client anything. What does that include? Service upgrade, pot lights, heated floors in the bathroom, smart home wiring, full home roughing. If it's not spelled out, then your client's going to be questioning it, and you're going to be the one defending it. And that's the stuff that leads to awkward conversations and change order debates downstream. So whether you're fixed cost or cost plus, a basic spreadsheet like this helps you get to a number but doesn't help you sell the job. If this is what your estimating process looks like right now and you want a more structured and balanced way to do this, then check out the link in the description for our Goldilocks template. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, let's look at the takeoff to proposal workflow. This is where builders go deep. And this is the porridge that can be too hot for some builders. Every line is built from a quantity and a unit rate. Framing lumber, drywall, yards of concrete, it's all accounted for. And if you're using a tool like Stack, Bluebeam, or Buildxact, you're doing on-screen takeoffs to pull data from your plans, and then pushing those numbers into an estimate builder that formats everything into a client-ready proposal. But not all these tools can handle that final step. You see, Stack and Bluebeam are just takeoff engines, not proposal builders. So if you're using them, you still need another tool to organize the information to be able to present it to your client. That also means you're paying for multiple tools, which can add up fast, especially if you're using a project management platform as well. And that's where this workflow can start to feel heavy and complex. It's true, it's how you get precise, stick-built logic in your estimates. But there's a catch. This type of workflow takes serious time to set up. That's the biggest barrier I see. They all promise to save you time, but the complexity in getting started usually overshadows that. You need clean drawings, you have to learn the software, and you've got to train your team on how to use it. Even builders who start here will often find themselves reverting back to the thing that they're most familiar with. So yes, this method can give you a bulletproof estimate if you use it correctly, but it often takes additional effort to create the output to match your sales process and also how clients actually make decisions. For the builders that can commit the time, cost, and system setup, this workflow is a beast. But for most builders, it's far more horsepower than they need. If quick numbers was too cold, then takeoff to proposal is the bowl of porridge that's just too hot. Technically perfect, but maybe too much for most builders' appetites. Now let's look at the third workflow, the Goldilocks approach. It's not too simple and not too complex. This is the one that's just right, the balance between chaos and complexity. Just structured enough to calculate everything accurately accurately, but still flexible enough even with a defined system. This is where you'll build your estimate in a spreadsheet, but with a lot more logic built in behind the scenes. It calculates markup, groups costs by category, and then flows into a client-ready proposal automatically. No extra formatting, no exporting to another app. It's fast, repeatable, and flexible, which is honestly why most builders stick with spreadsheets in the first place. And unlike the quick numbers workflow, this format will actually help you sell the job. You show clients the total for each phase, write clear scope descriptions in line with the numbers, and even tailor the format depending on whether or not it's a fixed cost or cost plus project. All in one place. This is why I call it the Goldilocks template, because it strikes the exact right balance. Clear enough to justify your numbers, detailed enough to build trust, and fast enough to keep things moving. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. For a lot of builders, this becomes their go-to workflow, especially once they've tried the extreme when they realize they've either lacked structure or added too much friction to the process. And if you're still using a basic spreadsheet or jumping between tools that don't connect, then this is a massive upgrade without a massive learning curve. If you want to try it for yourself, you can download the Goldilocks Estimating Template with the link in the description. Let me show you how this template actually works. The Goldilocks Estimate Template is built to give you structure and flexibility without locking you into complex software. Let's start with the architecture of the sheet. Along the bottom, you'll see a set of numbered tabs starting with 01 professional fees running all the way through to 36 site cleanup. There are also 4 extra tabs if you want to add more codes. Each tab represents a main category in a typical construction project, also known as a cost group, and this is where you'll do the bulk of your estimating work. When I built this template years ago, I had a few key goals. Number 1, I wanted a place where I could do full takeoff calculations, my literal scratch pad, and have a spot for writing client-facing scope notes as well. Number 2, I wanted to see a breakdown of every cost by item and cost of goods sold, labor, materials, and trade partners. And 3, I needed all of that to flow automatically into a clean proposal format. No retyping, no exporting, no formatting headaches. This is what makes this template just right. It separates the rough work from the polished output, but it's all connected in one workbook. Here's an example of how I used to build out the framing section. I'd break it down by area of the home: basement, main floor, second floor, and roof. Then I detail each cost item: floor system, structural beams and posts, exterior and interior wall framing, and so on. This gave me the confidence I wasn't missing anything, but also let me control what I wanted to share with the client. If I wanted to keep all of that detail internal, I'd just use a scratch pad and come up with a summary for the client-facing side. If I wanted to share it all, I'll simply copy the relevant description into the client-facing cell beside the corresponding cost item. A pro tip is to open ChatGPT, ask it to help you rewrite or summarize your scratch pad notes to make it more professional for the client-facing section. Once I've built out each category tab like this, I head over to the proposal sheet. From here, I can input the budget number discussed with the client to see how aligned we are based on our estimate. I'd also scroll down to the bottom and set the markup, which will be applied on the subtotal, seeing as this is a cost plus project and this is visible. For fixed costs, we input this on the summary tab because of course it's hidden for the client. Then review everything is coherent in the way you want it, and you're ready to generate a clean, professional looking PDF proposal to present to your client. When you download the template, we include 4 different variations: 2 for fixed cost estimates and 2 for cost plus, because you should have control over how your numbers are presented based on your contract type and the type of client that you're dealing with. Whether I'm pricing a fixed cost or cost plus project, this template gives me the flexibility I need, but all in one place. This is why I call this template the Goldilocks template, because it has everything you need and it's just right. So here's the big takeaway. Estimating isn't just about dropping numbers in a sheet. It's about using a workflow that actually supports how you sell and ensure that you earn what you deserve. Quick numbers might feel fast, but there's no backup, no structure, and no way to remind yourself how you came up with that number. That porridge is too cold. Takeoff to proposal might give you every nail and fastener, but the complexity, cost, and time to set it up make it difficult to sustain, especially when moving through the different variations of the estimating process. So that porridge is just too hot for a lot of builders. That's why the Goldilocks approach hits different. It gives you the structure to feel confident and the flexibility to work how you want, and the polish to present it clearly to your clients. Once you've got it dialed, your estimating becomes a repeatable system, not a one-off guessing game. And if you want to try it out, the full template, all 4 versions, click the link in the description below. You'll get a video walkthrough, instant access, and a tool that you'll honestly want to use again and again, because you don't need a tool that's too basic or too bloated. You need one that's just right. Alright guys, that's it for this video on the Goldilocks of estimating templates. If you found value from this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with a friend who's still doing estimates in their paper notebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.